Of course, it's Cub Swanson. Welcome back to the program. Has Tatsuya Kawajiri coming up, UFC Fight Night 92. He's in Albuquerque right now. It is right after UFC 200. The phenomenal week has just finished. We're talking Sunday right after this fight. Did you watch the fights last night? Did you watch UFC 200?
Yeah, I watched all three of the fights. I was flying here Thursday, so I caught that one all on Fight Pass while I was in between airports and stuff. Then yesterday I met my buddy Ike at one of the local bars and watched that one. And then yesterday I was just, working out here, and then I shot over to the Dave & Buster's here because they always treat us well. So I watched it there.
What was your favorite fight out of all the fights? There was, 34 fights or 36 fights? What was your favorite one?
Man, I'm trying to – I would probably say the Joanna fight, but I left. I was so burnt out, and people were kind of talking to me, and I'm already getting in fight mode where I just couldn't just watch it. I wish I could have watched it here, at the hotel. But, yeah, I missed that one, and I missed the main event last night too because I was like, I'm over it. I got to get back. But the Aldo Frankie fight I was interested in. Obviously, wouldn't say that was the best, but it was great. I really liked the Calvin Gastelum fight last night. I thought he looked great. Me and him become good friends, so that was awesome. Yeah, there's a lot. I have to think back.
Did you see the Brock Lesnar Mark Hunt fight? Were you able to catch that one before you left?
Yeah, that was the last one I watched.
Did Lesnar live up to the hype?
He looked so damn goofy when he was trying to, kind of get a rhythm out there. But I liked that he was trying, and I felt like the first time around that he was fighting, he was scared to death of getting hit. He wanted no part of that, and he just wanted to take somebody down. And now he looked like he was trying to really be a more mixed martial artist. He was throwing strikes, and I can appreciate that. Then he dominated when he was on top like he does, but I appreciated that he looked more well-rounded.
Yeah, he definitely has put some extra time in. I was very skeptical when they made the announcement. I was like, this is going to be silly. He's going to get hit once by Mark and then cower and turn like he used to. And he did a great job. And it was kind of boring, but he hasn't fought in 4 years and 8 months or 6 months or something silly. You're like, dude, that's ring rust is a real thing. He had to shake it off, and he had to take care of a guy like Mark Hunt, who's a top 10 fighter in the weight class, and hold him down. Like, that's not an easy task to do. So I think Brock didn't quite live up to the hype that my younger kids were hoping from watching him in WWE, but he definitely lived up to my hype.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the one thing that I will say about right when he got in there and he was looking pretty calm, I was like, I have to take into consideration that his wrestling matches probably have just as big audiences all the time, all over. So he's used to that feeling. I'm sure it's a little different, but that helps. I think a lot of the fighters that have the ring rust are the ones that kind of come in. Like I always say, guys that kind of come in from different organizations and they've never been in the UFC and they have a lot of hype and they debut on the main card and co-main or main event, they hardly ever win because they're like, the interviews drove me nuts and all the media and then the lights, and it's just kind of a lot for your mind to take in to stay focused. So I think him being able to be used to that, definitely helped.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he actually has one of the best schedules out of all the wrestlers in WWE. He doesn't have to do very many house shows, so he doesn't have to travel much. And he does the big shows, which, like you said, are packed. There's 12,000, 15,000 fans. He's used to it, and the media schedule that comes with it, he's used to it. So he looked good. He looked really good, and I will not be surprised if they make an announcement in like the next 30 days or so. Hey, he's coming back. He's fighting again. Like, I totally can see it. And I think, honestly, a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, he could probably make a run again at the title.
I think so. If he gets the good matchups, I definitely think that he could fight for the title.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that one pulls out. It's now it's made the heavyweight division much more interesting.
Yeah. I think I was mostly disappointed with UFC 200 just on the schedule. It was really weird to watch Aldo and Frankie be the second fight on the main card, fighting 5-5s, and then them go to the Daniel Cormier, Anderson Silva that had no business being above that, and then the Brock Lesnar Mark Hunt fight. I felt like both of those fights should have been under. Yeah, so I mean, I felt like same thing the night before. All the fights were like boom, 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 and then that Ultimate Fighter fight killed the momentum, and then the girls brought it back up. And I felt like that happened yesterday. Like everybody was just killing it, and then those two fights were kind of like, and then the main event, or
I was always confused as to why Lesnar was the co-main event. Like that really, for me, even when it was Cormier and Jones, it confused me. Like, how is he the co-main event? There's 3 championship fights. Those should be in weight order. It should be in weight order. Boom, boom. That makes Jones and.
Well, that used to be the rule. That used to be the rule, and then they changed it, and now it's the most popular fight, and that seems to be the which I understand, but I like the way things were. So.
Now you spent some time with Holly Holm down there, obviously. Mm-hmm. She lost to Miesha Tate. Mm-hmm. Then you see Miesha lose. You missed the main event though, right? You didn't see the girls fight yesterday?
Yeah, I missed her fight.
Miesha loses. I was going to ask you what you thought her game plan is, because me personally, I thought Miesha was in much better boxing conditioning and boxing shape to fight Holly than she was last night, and Amanda Nunes just beat her up with standing up. I felt like her defense was really lacking last night. She had better head motion and better hand placement during her punches. Yeah. She would have. I'm not saying she would have won, but she would have got a lot further in than she would have. She got bloody real early, and it just went downhill from there. So, because you missed it, we'll just skip over it.
I talked to multiple girl fighters after, and they were saying like that she didn't look herself. That she looked like she was about to cry walking out. She looked like she was dealing with something, and I was like, yeah, maybe she was either dealing with something or it got to her, the hype got to her, that can happen, but maybe she was dealing with something. But everyone I talked to said that she looked like she was going to lose before she even started the fight. So
she definitely was off walking in. Yeah. Like, definitely was off. You can see it as she's making the walk down the hallway and coming out into the arena. So I don't know, we'll see what happens. They'll say something here, I'm sure, or something will pop out, or it may not. We may never know. Because Miesha's also one of those that she doesn't make any excuses like you. She doesn't really make any excuses. She loses. She's very humble in defeat. She comes back in, and she's always better the next time. And then you kind of wait to see what happens, but you never really found out, that their knee was blown out, or I had 3 bulging discs in my neck, or, my grandmother died. You never find that stuff out. They don't say anything until like 10 years later. They don't say, well, that kind of makes sense then. So, Yeah. All right, let's talk about Kawajiri. Man, I've commented on and commentated some of his fights when he was fighting overseas in Japan. An incredible athlete back in his heyday, but I feel like he's kind of fallen off. He's getting older, and the style and technique that he used to use hasn't really caught up yet to today's MMA. Like it's really moved on, and he hasn't really kept the pace. Do you feel the same way when you're watching tapes of him, or are you seeing something I don't?
I watched the tapes, and I starting to go back a little further because I was watching more of the recent ones. And it's weird. He's got a really weird stand-up style, and it's more like very safe. He doesn't want to get hit, but then when he wants to take you down and he gets you down, he's going to smother you. And that's what he's good at. So he tries to hide all that stuff with being active and then want to take you down. But I definitely am respecting everything that he brings to the table. He likes to throw like a really weak overhand and then just do a spinning back fist off of that, and kind of like it increases with speed. So he kind of dummy throws this overhand right and then just whips his spinning back fist. He's caught a lot of people with it, and he'll throw it multiple times in a fight. So that you got to be careful of. He's got like a running kick. He's got some tools, and it's you just got to take those tools away from him and capitalize when he's in his vulnerable points.
Looking at his last 3 fights, which fight did you take the most away from? That you kind of saw, okay, this is some of his tells, this is some of the stuff that he's going to do.
I was trying to take from each fight. I just watched one with Sean Soriano, something like that, and he kind of had more of a style like mine. He wanted to throw power shots, be fast and move, and I got to see the scrambles they got into. The fight with Clay, he stood in the pocket a little bit more with Clay. He wasn't as threatened with his striking, but then he got dropped. I'd love for him to fight that style with me, but I don't really expect it as much. And then he fought this other kid more recently, and he just smothered him the whole time. The guy tried to rubber guard him and stuff like that, and he just got beat up the whole fight, so it didn't work at all. So, I'm taking a little bit from each of one of those and really just seeing what works for me and how I can fight my best fight.
How tough is it for him to get ready for you? Because you really don't have any opponents that have his type of wrestling and have his type of weird striking on their feet. For him to kind of go, oh hey, with Sean Soriano, who fights like you, he beat Sean with a submission rear naked choke. He finally got in and was able to take him down. And then Clay, he could not wrestle, so he wasn't even trying to wrestle him and got beat up because he just sat there in a pocket and gets dropped. So for him though, to look at your fights, like what does he have to look at really?
Yeah. I mean, he would have, the only thing that I could say is, as far as the takedown aspect, I would think my last fight with Diaz, but he didn't do anything. He didn't get to clinch me. I pretty much shut him down. So that really didn't give him much of a look. So I'm hoping he's confused with watching tape on me. I always try to bring something different to the table just because I know people are studying film. So I try to keep bringing new tools so that they're like, damn, he didn't do that last time, you know?
There's things in training camp that you're working on, that you worked on 3 training camps ago that we still haven't seen in a fight yet, that now all of a sudden will pop out. Or are you a guy that goes, okay, for the next 8 weeks, I'm going to learn this particular technique because this is what's going to be new in this fight?
It's crazy. I always come up with like 8 techniques that I feel like are going to work, kind of crazy techniques that'll work against somebody with that style. Then within sparring, and training with 3 months for a fight, I'll kind of narrow it down to 3 or 4, just because I'm like, it's just not working out because I'm putting myself in a vulnerable spot, or I'm not selling it, or whatever the reason. And then I'll keep those. And then in the fight somewhere, I'll look for those openings, those tendencies I'm seeing. And then I'm like, okay, there's this one. And then I'll just rip it. And if it works, it works. And it doesn't. But usually when they work, they change the momentum of the fight, For like instance, with Jeremy Stevens, I knew that switching stance and throwing that body kick was going to change the momentum of the fight, and it did. We were kind of even, filling each other out. When I hit it in the second round, from then on, I kind of took over. And then when he started gaining momentum again, I think in the 5th round, I hit him again. And then same thing, I was able to steal the round away. So, sometimes those things can really save you in a fight.
How tough is it for you to have confidence, though, in something like that, where you're like, this is going to be one of these 3 techniques is going to be the momentum changer, and I need to pull one out right now. Like, I know I'm losing the round to this point. I've got to steal this round. And you're like, I got to pull one of the 3 or 4 out. Like, how mentally challenging is it for you to go, okay, now's this time, and just to go throw it?
Usually I don't put a lot of pressure on myself about it. If it's there, it's there, Sometimes I'll just wing it. But usually I'm sticking to, like, my basics, The thing about tricks, why they work, is because you let people know you have the solid foundation. That was what I did with Hot Crown, is I hit him with basics the whole first round, and he was trying to catch my rhythm when we were working. Then when I dropped him in the second and the third, they were both with unorthodox strikes that he didn't see coming. So I was able to switch it on him, change rhythms a little. And, I wish I could have done a little better in that fight, but, we really wanted to just shut him down and not put him in any position to feel like he was winning. And so that was really important. Even when I felt like I could have armbarred him at one point, I was like, I could go for it, but if he muscles out of it and I end up on bottom, I think just doesn't make sense for me. So I'd rather ground and pound him from here. So.
Okay, that explains a lot to me, because I was wondering why you didn't go for the armbar in that position. Like, you got it. Like, why are you not stepping forward for it? And I was actually yelling at the TV when it was happening.
Yeah.
What the hell is he doing? Like, why is he not trying to finish this thing?
Yeah.
And then now you're saying, well, because if I miss and end up on the bottom, what does it do? Well, it gives him the.
And I knew that the first round was close, and it turns out that all 3 judges gave him the first round. I took the second round easily. Third round, I thought I was taking, but if I would have ended I dropped him and I was doing well. But say I would have went for that armbar and I ended up on bottom and he ended up landing a couple elbows. Now the third round is really close, so it's in his fight.
At that point, you can go anywhere. It could have been a split decision him, a full decision him, or like we saw a full decision you. You're right. Yeah. That's actually really smart. That's really good cagemanship, understanding what's going on with the fight. Is that something the corner was explained to you? Like, you guys talk about it with the coaches, with the...
No, that was kind of on the fly. I was feeling more comfortable with him on the ground. I could tell that he was strong, but not as strong as I kind of expected. I kept putting in my head that he was going to be really strong, so I wouldn't be, surprised when I got in there. And then I just did a good job of shutting his game down and kind of neutralize him when I was in his guard and half guard. And I wanted that because I wanted him mentally to just be like, man, nothing's working. So that was another thing is when if I would have ended up on bottom and made a mistake, he would have been like, oh, here's my chance, and give him like that little bit burst of energy of like, oh, I'm back in this fight. And I was like, no, you're not in this fight.
Wow, that's great. That's actually really good fighter IQ, man. That's amazing. I never heard any other fighter kind of explain it that way. I'm sure the fighters do have the same thought process, but just don't know how to explain it.
Yeah. Well, and I've always been good about thinking about that on the fly. Like I've always been able to understand things like that in the fight. So I think that's helped me in my career.
What does this fight with Kawajiri do for you? You beat him decisively. Whether now at the stage that you're at the stage of your career, it doesn't matter if you finish a guy or just beat him. It's just about getting the win, really. Mm-hmm. What does a win over Kawajiri do for you within the weight class and for looking forward to the top end?
Well, I was on such a good run. I was right there. Then, I fought Frankie. That didn't go my way. I came back right away, fought Max. That didn't go my way. I got some injuries, so I took some time off. Then from there, I just because those guys were ranked higher than me, well, Max wasn't at the time, he is now. It didn't really drop me too far. It just took me out of contention for the time being. So with a good win over Hawkround, it kind of showed that I'm still there. And then I just need a few more wins to be back in the mix and to be at the top of the list. So, I just wanted to take any fights that they would give me. I wanted to get some rematches of some of my losses, but this was the fight that I was offered, and it was a little shorter notice than I like. And I was like, hey, he's been around forever. He's got a name. You start looking at legacy of who I fought. It's like Frankie, Aldo, Mendez. Kawajiri. I could. Yeah, I mean.
Christ, you go through your list of guys. It's kind of incredible the guys that you have fought, and not only the guys that you fought, but at the time you fought them, because you weren't fighting them on their way up. Oh, I'm the one guy that beat so and so, but it was 8 years ago, and since then I've lost 7 in a row, and he's gone 25-0. It doesn't. Okay, well you caught him early.
Well, if you look at my losses, they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That are, and so, and I did. Every fight that they've ever offered me, it would always go. The conversation went, "Hey, a lot of people think this guy has a chance of beating Aldo. There's a lot of hype with them at this division. We want you to fight him." So basically, they were using me as a gatekeeper, and I'd be like, "Cool," and then I'd take them out, and then they're like, "Now this guy." That's what they said about Seaver, about Poirier. They said about Ross Pearson and Jeremy Stevens. They just kept telling me that over and over, and I was like, okay, I'll fight him.
Which has got to make it a little frustrating. Look, hold on a second. You keep giving me these guys that everyone has all this hype about beating Aldo, but you're not giving me the shot. It's that's got to be a little bit frustrating.
Yeah. Well, it's just a game. It's I understand. I've been around for so long, so it's not and I have those losses, so it's not enticing to where someone who maybe has 4 wins and look good, they're excited to see what the possibilities are, where people already think that they know what the possibilities of or the outcome of my fight, because I've already fought Aldo, even though it wasn't much of a fight and it was 7 years ago. It's just crazy. That's how people think. So also there's no, my fan base is I'm a California fighter, I'm American, so it's I don't really have that extra fan base that pushes anybody. I feel like I have a strong fan base, but it's 100% organic that I've grown because just of what I put out there and who I am as a person and how I fight. So I'm really proud of my fan base, and but it's not I don't have all those crazy fans that are oh my God, he's the best in the world. He'll fight anybody, like the Conor fans. I don't have those fans, so, and that's fine with me. I'll do things the hard way.
It's the only way you know how to do it. You would, if it was easy, you would move on to something else. You can't deal with things that are very simple.
Yeah. The way I see it is, at the end of the day, granted, I get a title shot. That'll mean more to me than it'll meant to anybody else, because I know the road that I've taken. I've already been with this company 9 years. I mean, look at Bisbing, 10 years with the company, and he won the title. Like that was inspiring to me. So I mean, that's cool.
Speaking of Bisbing, can you talk about the other project you're working on with Michael, or is that something that has to be held for a little while?
No, we could talk about it. I mean, so me and him have both been trying to franchise a UFC gym. Uriah and Frankie right now are just opening theirs. And so it came the opportunity for me and Bisbing to do one together, and we're working on that right now. We did an official announcement at the gym because there was a UFC gym already in Costa Mesa, and it closed down because it was a really small one. And so we're basically moving it over to this bigger location, and it should be open like probably November, the beginning of November. So
just in time for everyone's New Year's resolution.
Yeah, man, I'm super stoked because I'm in Orange County all the time. He's there all the time. He lives there, so it's going to be the first one where two UFC fighters are owners. So that'll be the first time it's a collab.
Are you and Michael going to open up more together?
I don't know. We'll see. We both plan on opening more. Our plan was to do it on our own, but we'll see what happens.
It's always nice to have somebody else help you out when you're opening something up, take on part of the burden. So
yeah, for sure. Because I mean, it's Orange County is not cheap, and that's why it makes me feel even better with two star powers. And we literally came together like the week before his fight, and we were like, yeah, cool. And then he won the belt. I was like, oh wow, that was pretty good at picking a partner right there.
Yeah, right. Nice work. Cub, thanks so much for coming on here. I appreciate it. Good luck, man, with the rest of your training camp. This fight for me is going to be a lot of fun. Obviously, old school versus old school. Because I still think of you as an old school guy because I've been following your career for so long. This fight's going to be great, man. I really can't wait to watch it pull out. Honestly, my opinion is I don't think Kawajiri in the feet's going to be remotely hanging close with you. And then if he takes you down against the cage, it's going to be a lot of a struggle for you because he steps over and wraps up the legs and makes it hard for you to get up. But other than that, if he takes you down the middle, I think he'll be able to pop right back up again. I just don't think he has the strength or the speed to be able to hold your hips down once he takes you down. And, of course, you're going to pepper him as he's coming in if he takes a wide shot. So,
well, I mean, I've been working my wrestling really hard since I fought Frankie. So, you know how it is. Sometimes it takes a camp or two to kick in. And I've been consistently working with, my wrestling and my grappling. Getting back to as good as I was, and having that to say I'm a black belt. So I've been working with Barata a lot out here, and everybody. I feel the strongest I've ever been. My jiu-jitsu game and my wrestling defense, my wrestling offense is getting better. So, and the strongest physically I've ever been. So I think that was the one thing that surprised Hakran Diaz. I actually heard him say it in an interview is that he didn't expect me to be so strong in the clinch. So. I feel like this is the best version of me, and I'm ready for it.
Good. We're ready to see it. Thanks, Cub. Have a great rest of your Sunday. We'll talk again soon.
All right, man. Good to talk to you.